means Lech Lecha.
Portion means go forth yourself. It means go forth yourself. From Genesis 12:1 through 17:27. Torah portion is Isaiah 40, Torah portion is Isaiah 40:27 through 41.
The apostolic scripture or Messianic scripture or Messianic scripture portions 1 through 5. 1 through
The introduction. And the introduction. The servants of Abram and Lot quarrel. Abram and Lot agree to separate. The two agree to separate. Lot chooses to go to Gomorrah. Towards Sodom and Gomorrah. God reiterates the promise that the land will belong to Abram's heirs, who will number the dust. Genesis 13:14 through 18. Genesis 13:14. The Lord said to Abram, the Lord said to separated from him. After Lot had separated, lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward, place where you are, northward, eastward, southward, and eastward. For all the land that you see, I will give your offspring forever, and to your offspring. I will make your offspring as the dust. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth. Your offspring also can be. Your offspring also can be. Arise, walk through the land. Arise, walk through the land. For I will give it to the land. For I will give it. Abram moved his tent and came. Abram moved his tent and came and settled by the oaks of Hebron, which are there he built an altar, and there he built an altar to the Lord. So you see in this promise that the Lord gives this promise, he has not changed his name. He has not changed his name yet. So he's still known as Abram here. So he's still known as Abram. He does this after Lot. He does this after Lot and Abram and that's because it turned out that because in the area that they were living in the area that they were living in, grazing land, there wasn't enough grazing land. Their herd for their herd. So they had to make a decision on what they had to make a decision on what they would do between them. There wouldn't be any fight between them. When you read through that passage in there, it's Abram that passage in there. Abram tells him, presents the Lot. You choose him. You choose. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to stay? I'll go in the opposite direction. I'll go in the opposite direction. And I believe that God honored that because God had given covenant before this. Covenant before this. Covenant already. A lot. Sometimes I wonder if Abram looked upon Lot as a son that he never had. Thought that Lot would possibly be his heir. As we all know, God had a different. And God's plan always works. And it's kind of interesting that you notice. That Lot chose to move near Sodom and Gomorrah. He didn't choose to stay out in the wilderness where Abraham had chosen to stay. And after they separate, God appears to him, and he tells him, gives him that once again gives him that promise that his offspring will be like the dust. It's interesting when you think about that because how can you number the dust? You can't. It's the same as trying to count the stars in the sky. You can't count the stars in the sky. The same as trying to number the on the seashore. God used all of these things. God used all of these things in order to indicate to Abraham, Isaac, His promise and the extent of that promise. That promise extended out beyond the Jewish people. Beyond the Jewish people. It extended out beyond Israel. That Israel would become a wider than any of them had ever dreamed of. Because by today's standards, if you really look at it, you can number the Jewish people. You have an idea of how many live in Israel. You have an idea of how many live in Israel. You have an idea of how many live in the rest of the world. You have an idea of the numbers of them. That doesn't fulfill this promise. That doesn't fulfill this promise that God makes to. His promise goes well beyond this. Because he says that you can't number. If you really go beyond that point, then you have to look at where are the rest of the tribes. Some of them are included. In the grouping of the Jewish people. We're told that in Scripture. Some of them are part of today. The Jewish people today. There are a larger number that are still out there. There are a larger number from Judah that are still out there also. They don't know who they are. They lost the sense of their identity, over the centuries, over thousands of years of their exile. And they're still out there. But then even beyond that, it's still, I believe, beyond that, it's still, I believe, a group of people that you can still number. How can you arrive? So how can you arrive at this promise that God was speaking to Abraham? You have to look beyond. You have to look beyond. You have to look beyond those boundaries. You have to look beyond those boundaries. And those boundaries mean you have to look to the nation. Because the nations count in this also. The nations count in this also. Because there's going to be those that dwell among the nations who are not part of Israel, who are not part of Israel, because they will find the God of Israel, because they will find the God of Israel. They will enter into that covenant. They will enter into that covenant, and they will come into Israel. Now, by me making that statement, being a Jewish person, there are Messianic Jews who would condemn me for that. They don't want to accept that promise. They don't want to believe that promise. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to see what Scripture is talking about. What Scripture is talking about. They believe that it's their God-given duty to protect Judah. The Orthodox Jews aren't so worried about it. Why are the Messianic Jews worried about it? Because Messianic Jews are rejected as being Jews anyway. Rejected as being Jews anyway. So they fall into the same category. So they fall into the same category. There's no difference in that. They're not accepted. As long as they believe the way that they believe, as long as they believe the way that they believe and who they believe, they're never going to be accepted. They're never going to be accepted until God opens up the eyes of blind Jewish people that have been blinded to this truth. But when He does that, things change. Boy, will things change. And they will change in a way that this is not just applicable to the Jewish people. Applicable to the Jewish people. Applicable to those. But will be applicable to those. The rest of the 10 tribes. The rest of the 10 tribes. It will spread out into the nations. It will spread out into the nations also. And then you'll begin to see. And then you'll begin to see this promise coming to pass. And how it's going to work its way through. It's going to work. The reality is that God is making this covenant. And then He'll be renamed Abraham. And then He'll be renamed Isaac. And then you're going to have Jacob, who's going to be renamed Israel. Who's going to be renamed Israel. None of them were Jews. None of them were Jews. None of them were Jewish. None of them were Jewish. Okay. I mean, they look at Abraham as being the father of the Jewish people. Literally, biblical truth says he was not. Biblical truth says he was not. First Jew was the son of Jacob. That's where the first Jew comes from. That's where the first Jew comes from. And the Jewish people, as we know them today, come from the time of Israel. Return from Babylon. At least the first. Then the other part came back with Nehemiah. So you have to look back. In order to Judaism that we're looking at. The Judaism that we're looking at today, the way that it evolved and became as the religion that it is, because it is a religion. What God gave to man, and what He was giving to Israel was faith. Was about faith. It was about faith. Someone to look forward to. It was a promise. It was a covenant that He was making with them. That covenant is what we're buying into. If you want to, we are taking God. That this is what He's going to do. This is what He's going to do. All will come under the tent. We'll all come into that. Well, all by our faith in Messiah, by following His covenant, and by following His covenant, and His covenant are the instructions that we call the Torah. That we call the Torah. Now we've been talking about, a little bit here and there in the Bible study about how the Torah was so different. How the Torah was so different. How it was. Early how it was, and what it would become later, and what it would become later. But the Torah is the Torah. But the thing about the Torah is not fixed. It's not fixed. God made adjustment. God added parts to that covenant. And why did He do that? As He began to expand beyond Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and He was making a covenant with Israel, and a covenant with a nation, and He was going to make His covenant, and He was going to make His covenant. He had to make adjustments. Because He was allowing more people to come into it. And the situations would change. We needed to deal with these situations. So So he gave some leeway, I believe. Moses some leeway, I believe. My belief. It's just that he gave Moses some leeway. Moses some leeway to add to the Torah based on what Torah based on what Moses in leading the children of Israel. In leading the children of Israel. It wasn't such an easy task for Moses. It wasn't such an easy task for Moses in order to do this, but Moses had training for this. His basic training was he was a shepherd. His basic training was he was a shepherd. That was his basic training. That was his basic. He also received some royal training. He also received some royal training when he was in Egypt, and he was a prince of Egypt. That wasn't by happenstance that wasn't by happenstance that happened. God put him there so he could get an education. He got a top-notch education. And he got a top-notch education because it was going to be needed. But he also needed to learn how to be a shepherd. Why a shepherd? Because why a shepherd? Sheep always need a head. Always without a head. And without a head, the heck all over. Look at them today. They're all over the place. They're all everywhere. They're going this way, they're going that way, they're going this way, they're going that way. You want them to, you got to pen them in. Where you want them to is you got to pen them in. And the only way you can get them to do what you want, the only way you get them to do what you want to is you got to get yourself a sheepdog. We need a sheepdog. We need a sheepdog for Israel. A mean one. A mean one. One that barks a lot. One that barks a lot. One is going to run after these people. One is going to run after these people. They can't come in. Your dogs are pampered. They're too pampered. They want air conditioning. They want heat. They want 3 meals a day. They want heat. They want 3 meals a day. They want all these things. They got it better than. They want all these things. They got it better than Reuben. Reuben said he's going to move in with them. Reuben said he's going to move in with them. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. What was that movie? What was that movie? She won't bring the dogs into the house. It won't matter. Bring the dogs into the house. It won't matter. Got rooms to set aside for them already. Got rooms to set aside for them already. Huh? Whatever, you know how it works. Whatever, you know how it works. Yeah, we used to have a room for the dogs too. Yeah, we used to have a room for the dogs too. We kicked them out. Grandkids finally won. Grandkids finally won. They caught one of the dogs in there yesterday. They caught one of the dogs in there yesterday. At least he stayed off the bed. At least he stayed off the bed. Both of them, yeah. Both of them, yeah. What? What? It's getting cold. It's getting cold. They can be outside. Yeah, they can be outside. I don't give them heat, and I don't give them air. I don't give them heat, and I don't give them air. If the wind blows, they can. If the wind blows, they can. They'll get it. We gave them a nice dog. We gave them a nice dog house with a nice. The one dog a nice. Gave the one dog a nice. So she showed us disdain for what we gave her. So now she gets nothing. So now she gets nothing. You know, hey, there are consequences to actions. There are consequences to actions. Dogs aren't that dumb. Dogs aren't that dumb. Yes, they are. No. You get steak 3 times a day, and hamburger. Steak 3 times a day, and hamburger. And I'm eating. Just had them the other night. Oh, we're just moving right along. And Matthew 22:37. And he said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your heart, with all your soul." This is the great and foremost. The second is like it. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So Messiah is the one who said these words. Is the one who said these words. He said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul." So that's fairly straightforward. You can grasp that. If you want to do it, it's up to you. If you want to do it, it's up to you. If you don't have a relationship with God, that's an everlasting problem. And I mean that's an everlasting. The second one is one that gets a bit. The second one is one that gets a bit. You shall love your neighbor as you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So what comes up is who's your neighbor? The person that lives next door to you. The person that lives next door to you. I can't live far enough away from people. You can't get far enough out. You know. But maybe that's a test that the Lord throws you away by giving you neighbors that are a pain. And that you have to learn how to coexist and live with them in order to be able to do what God's telling you to do. Maybe God's also trying to tell us something. Maybe He doesn't like us all the time. Like us all the time. He coexists with us. He coexists with us. But he also presents us. But he also presents us with the opportunity to fix our relationship with him. But it goes hand in hand with the one you shall love your neighbor. Your neighbor is more than the person. Your neighbor is more than the person who might live next door or whatever. Your neighbor is or whatever. Your neighbor is no matter where they are. No matter where they are. And right now the world is at each other's throats. I believe that's all part of God's plan. I believe that's all part of God's plan. I believe that whatever's going to be, I believe that whatever's going to be is going to be because God is in control no matter how bad it is. And whatever's going to be, I always look at it from this. I always look at it from this. It's going to get better, but God is still in control. Because he has a plan. Because he has a plan. His plan is the one that's going to win out. His plan is the one that's going to win out. It has to. It has to. I stake my eternal salvation on it. So, something we have to believe in. We have to believe in. We have to hold tight to that. That while we live here, we have to do our best to coexist. We then exist as examples to others. And if we're not loving our neighbor as ourselves, then does that mean that we love our neighbor and just roll over and let him walk all over us? That's not what the Bible says. It tells us to be strong in our faith. It tells us to be strong in our faith. And to stand up for it. And to stand up for it. God sent Israel into the promised land and told to exterminate everyone that was in there. Is that loving your neighbor? Is that loving your neighbor? God's the one who's in control of that. God's the one who had to control of that. Told them what they had to do, and they failed to do it. And look what happened to them. They became corrupted. They went back down the path that God tried to direct them not to go back. And then throughout their history, Israel was up, and Israel was down. Israel had some periods of peace, but it didn't last long. When Israel didn't have an outside enemy to fight, they they fought among themselves. Read the Bible; it tells you about it. Read the Bible; it tells you about it. They didn't get along. When they didn't get along, they fought each other. That is an example of a dysfunctional family. Israel was very dysfunctional. Judah is very dysfunctional today. So is Ephraim. They're even more dysfunctional than Judah. But if you take them and you throw them all back together right now, they will really be dysfunctional. The only one that can straighten them out. Is Messiah. And the only one that can bring them back together. And why do I say that? Because God makes the promise that it will be in His hands, that He will unite all of Israel. He will unite the tribes. He will bring in the nation. He will bring together everybody that's meant to be part of it. But here with these two commands, which are straight out of the Torah, He's giving us the two highest commands. He's not giving us the only two commands. This is at the head of the list. Underneath that list, you also have the 10 words. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think it's 10 commandments. They think it's 10 commandments. No, there is no Hebrew word associated with the 10 words. It's translated as word. It's translated as commandments. It's not associated with commandments. It's not associated with the 10. So what does that mean? Is there a difference in the words? What does that mean? Is there a difference in the words and the commandments? They are an outline. When you look at them, they're an outline for God's relationship with us, and our relationship with God. And then He fills in the gap. And He expands. The Torah out underneath. To start taking into account all of these other people, and how to deal with them, and all the situations that are going to arise. The book of Leviticus. It's all about Leviticus. It's all about sacrificial system, the temple, all sacrificial system, all of these different things. So you have a whole book that's dedicated to just them. You have other commandments, other precepts, other statutes, other judgments that are all considered to be part of the Torah. And they deal with men. They deal with men. Husbands and wives. They deal with children. They deal with business children. They deal with all of these different things. So God expanded the covenant. Because it was necessary to do that. It was necessary to do that. That you were now going from Abram. And all those who preceded him, because all those who preceded him, because all you had before that was Noah, and then before Noah you had Enoch, and before Noah you had Enoch, then Seth, and then you go back to Adam, and then you go back to I don't know where Adam wound up. I don't know where Adam wound up out of the garden, exiled out of the garden. But were responsible for the birth of mankind. But mankind became corrupted. And God destroyed. All but 8 in the flood. All but 8. And we covered that because here we are this week. Third portion of the new cycle. And we're already up to Abram. We're going right through Genesis. But now, as we're coming to Abram, things will start to. So God didn't think that it was that important to really go into the details about the creation. He didn't explain to us about the Nephilim, which I always hear right now. Who are the Nephilim? Asking questions. Don't ask me. I wasn't there. Don't ask me. I wasn't there. Reuben was closer today. Reuben, who are the Nephilim? Cut. And people say, did the dinosaurs really exist? Was I there? Some people say, you're that old or whatever. Oh, no, there are people that are older than me. But the Bible does talk about animals. Large. They don't define them as what they were. We don't know what they. People want to say that the Nephilim were fallen angels or anything like that. Fallen angels or anything like that. God must have had a reason that He didn't tell us exactly who they were exactly. Had to have a reason why He didn't want to. I don't know. One day we will find out. One day we'll know. Unless God chooses not to allow us and understand that. But there's a reason. God is speeding right through Genesis, and now we hit. And we're now to Abram. We see it slowed down. All of those that came before Abram, they may have been in that line of righteousness. God chose to carry His word through. But there was something different about Abram from the rest. Something different. It doesn't call him as being righteous, and doesn't call him as being right example that we all look back to. Example that we hear about all the time. We hear about Abram all the time. We know about his family. We know about his family. Jacob, the three patriarchs. Isaac and Jacob, the three patriarchs. They are the fathers. Of Israel. They are the ones who came before. But then you have two other religions. Claim Abraham as their founder. You have Christianity who says he's the father of the church, whatever. I don't know. Church, whatever. I don't know if it goes as far as the church or whatever. It's just he's the father of. It's just their religion. However they want to look at that. And you have Islam. Look at that. And you have Islam. As being their father and their founder. They don't even talk. Their Bible says that Abraham and Isaac. It's about Abraham and Ishmael. It's about Abraham and Ishmael. That was Abraham and Ishmael. Who set up worship and all of those different things. Give me a break. Okay. The Islamic Bible, the Quran. A long ways after are Hebrew scriptures, and the covenant that God made, back. You don't wind up with the Quran. You don't wind up with the Quran until about the 6th or 7th century, around there. 7th century. And I'm talking about not BC. I'm talking about after Torah. Goes all the way back. Torah, if you want to go all the way back today, we're looking at today. Not just the Mount Sinai. I believe it goes all the way back to the beginning because God talks about in there without spelling it out. What did he have to write anything down for to give one command? Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge. Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He should have written it down, and maybe should have written it down, memorized it. Maybe they wouldn't have memorized it. Maybe they wouldn't have done it. But then again, he had to write it down anyway later on, and they still break it. So it doesn't matter. You can memorize it. Doesn't matter. You can memorize it. You can carry it around in your Bibles. You can carry it around in all the time and everything. Read it all the time. But if you're not putting it into action in your lives, you're going to forget about it. And it's going to become nothing but words. It's going to become nothing but words. And it's it sounds good when you talk about it. But then sometimes you might feel that it kind of crimps your lifestyle. That's what it's meant to do. It's meant to make sure that our lifestyle lines up with what God expects from us. He doesn't want us to line up with the ways of the world. He does it for a specific. In Deuteronomy 6:5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. With all your heart. With all your soul. With all your life. This is where Yeshua is drawing. In Leviticus 19:18, you shall not take vengeance or bear grudge against the sons of your people. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. So Yeshua quoted straight out of the Torah when he was giving these teachings. Matthew 22:40. On these two commandments. All the law and the prophet. So the Greek word for commandments is the Scripture is the equivalent of the Hebrew word mitzvah. The Hebrew word mitzvah means commandment. So here Yeshua is saying on these two commandments. And then he goes on and he says, depend all the law. The Greek word for law here is nomos. The common Greek word that is used over and over again for Torah. It's used in the place of the Hebrew word Torah. It's always interesting how Torah translates into English the same way it's pronounced. In the Hebrew it's Torah. In the English it's Torah. In the English it's Torah. One of the few words directly out of the original language. But I guess because it translates out of the original language, that way and made it into the law. Anything in order to what I understand of Greek, and it's not a whole lot. Talked to the pastor one time about that. He said there are words in Greek for teachings and instruction. So why they didn't choose that at all? One of the things that I've always heard to a Jewish person, the law is not bad. So saying that God had rules and regulations is not to say anything was bad. It's only to those who want to say that we don't have to follow the law. We're not under the law anymore. We're not under the law anymore. That it becomes given a bad rep. How could anything from God be bad? That's the problem. It's man who makes it not God. Bad. Not God. I don't know how many people in the church realize it. But if they make it into the Messianic age, that Messiah is going to rule by Torah. Messiah is going to rule with a rod of iron. We're told that in Revelation. We're told that in the Psalm where a rod of iron. Why do you need a rod of iron? If everybody's going to love their neighbor as themselves and do everything and obey the Messiah who's going to be sitting on the throne. How can they disobey the Son of God? If they want to, they're going to do it. If they want to, they're going to do it. They don't really care about the consequences until after they've done that. When they're facing consequences, then they turn around and go, whoops. There's going to be a day of reckoning. There's going to be a day of reckoning. The Lord keeps telling us that in Scripture. The Lord keeps telling us that in Scripture. Telling us over and over and over again. Telling us over and over and over again what He wants us to do. And we keep disobeying Him. Disobeying Him over and over and over again. In Isaiah 41, 1 through 4. In Isaiah 41, listen to me in silence, O coast. Listen to me in silence, O coast. Let the peoples renew their strength. Let the peoples renew their strength. Let them then let them speak. Let us together draw near. Let us together draw near. Who stirred up one from the east? Who stirred up one from the east? And victory meets at every step. He gives up nations before him. He gives up nations before him, so that he tramples kings. He makes them like dust with his sword. He makes them like dust, like driven stubble with his bow. Like driven stubble with his bow. He pursues them and passes on safely. His feet have not trod. His feet have not trod. Who has performed and done this? Who has performed and done this? Calling the generation. I, the Lord, the first, the Lord, and with the last, and with the last, I am He. So he's talking about Messiah. He's talking about what Messiah is going to do. He's talking about what Messiah is going to do. Messiah's Father, through His Father, sets up kingdom. Sets up every nation that's on the face of every nation throughout His face, no matter who they are, where they were, who they are, where they are now. God's the one now who put them where they are. Who put them where they are. Who will deal with God's the one who will deal with them as He chooses. We need to remember that. We need to remember that God is. No matter when we think He might not be. No matter when we think He might not be. In Jeremiah 51:19. In Jeremiah 51:19. The portion of Jacob is not like. The portion of Jacob is not. For the Maker of all is He. For the Maker of all is He. And of the tribe of His inheritance. And of the tribe. The Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts is His. So here's another title for God. So here's another title for God. He's called the Maker. He's called the Maker. And that's a Hebrew word. And it's deliberate. A Hebrew word. They chose that there. The Hebrew word that there. The Hebrew word means the former fashion. Means the former fashion. But it's translated as creator or maker. Translated as creator or maker. So who's the creator? Messiah. How did He create? How did He create? Through His Father used Him to create. His Father used Him that there is and everything that exists. So the Hebrew word yatsar, which means the form, is interchangeably translated as creator or maker in Scripture. It's interesting. And then it leads us into Revelation 1:8. I am the Aleph and the Tav. I am the Aleph and the Lord God. He who is God and was, He who is and comes, and was, who is and comes, the Almighty. Who is the Almighty. Revelation 1:17. When I saw Him, I fell at His feet as though dead. I fell at His feet as though dead. He laid His right hand on me, saying, "Fear not." I am the first. I am the first and the last. He's talking about Messiah. Who is the right hand? Who is the right hand of God? Yeshua. He is the arm of the Lord. He is the arm of the right Lord of God. He is the right hand of God. He's the one who will lead His army. He's the one who will lead His army. He's the one who will retake. He's the one who will retake His earth. He's the one who will prepare it. He's the one who will prepare it for His people. He's the one who will make it right. He's the one who will make it right. And He's the one who will do whatever is necessary, whether it's going to be a recreation, whether it's going to be a recreation, whether it's going to be a cleansing, and whether it's going to be a cleansing and a fixing of everything. I don't know. All I know is we're told in Scripture. But all I know is we're told in Scripture will take care of it. That He. It wasn't enough that He flooded the earth. It wasn't enough that He flooded the earth, because that was just kind of a bad. Because that was just kind of a bad. And 8 people came out of that. Okay? 8 people came through the flood. 8 people came through the flood. Was not destroyed. So sin was not destroyed. Sin continued on. Sin still continues on to our day. Still continues on to our day. But God is in Acts 7:1-5. In Acts 7:1-5. You thought I'd skip another passage. I flipped through my pages first. I flipped through my pages first to make sure they were all separated this week. And the high priest said, "Are these things so?" And Stephen said, "Brothers and fathers, hear me." The God of glory appeared to our father Abraham when he was a Mesopotamian. Before he lived in Haran. Go out from your land, and from your kindred, and go into the land that I will show you. Go into the land that I will show you. Then he went out from the land of the Chaldeans and lived in the Chaldeans and lived in Haran. After his father died, God removed him from there, in which you are now living. In which you are now living. No inheritance. He gave him no inheritance. Not even a foot promise to give it to him, but promise to give it to him to his offspring after him. To his offspring after him. Though he had no child. You notice how Stephen is reaching all the way back to Abram, or to Abraham in this case, His name had been changed by that time, but then he gives his history. And he tells you Abraham wasn't native born. Wasn't born in the land. Wasn't born in the land. He came into that land. He didn't own any of the land until he actually bought a plot of ground there in order to bury his wife. That became what they call the caves of the patriarchs. Where Abraham and Isaac are supposed to be. Where their wives, except for Rebecca. No, Rachel. Rachel is not buried there. Rachel is not buried on the road. She's buried on the road. They didn't get back to that point. So you have all that there. They own that piece of the land. They own that piece of the land, and they own the surrounding land around Abraham. Read about the deal that Abraham made, and he bought that plot of ground. Abraham, I think he did that. Not just to get a burial, but he wanted to own. The land and a piece of the land that had been promised. It's almost like he had to have a physical of that land, a piece of that land. How many people go and visit Israel today? And you come back with some dirt. They tell you, this is the promised land. Somebody blows back these rocks. Dead Sea from the Dead Sea. Have all the chemicals from the Dead Sea. You'll find out because they fall off. They start to crumble and they make all kinds of everything like that. Different things and everything like that. I don't need that to know that. I know that one day I'll be there. Okay? I'm not in any hurry to get there. When I'm supposed to be there, God will let me there. You know? Besides, if you go over there, you gotta do a lot of walking. And I don't like that. If you want to visit all the places, you gotta walk. I'll wait. The day will come when I'll be able to fly over it all. And I'll be able to see everything that God wants me, and to live in the land, the land God gave to Abraham, Isaac, and that He told Abram, one side of it, other back and forth and across, all of that land, wherever your foot goes. Is yours. That promise extends past the boundaries of the modern state of Israel. That land extends past the boundaries that even David had extended the kingdom of Israel to. That land eventually is going into several of the Arab countries that surround it. They won't be anymore because they're on the land that belongs to Israel. And God will take it back. So people, God tells us we're supposed to love Him first. We're supposed to love Him first. After that, we're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. If you don't do one, you can't do the other. You don't have a right relationship with God. You don't have a right relationship with God. You can't have a right relationship with your fellow. It doesn't work. Because there's an interruption. When you can't do both. So sometimes you got to suck it up, and you got to do the best. You got to live with the situations. You got to live with the situations. You got to do what you got to do. But you never who you're being an example. Who you might be able to plant a seed. And then that seed take root. That seed can grow. And we're talking about faith. Faith is what's going to save us. nothing else. And I'm going to close with this.
Torah man says, a dead fish can float downstream.
A dead fish can float downstream. But it takes a live fish to swim upstream.